Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Telling Tales, where we tell atmospheric role-playing game stories together. I hope you're all well or scared this Monday, and it's nice to have you with us. So we have a slight change to proceedings this evening in that we have a slightly different stream manager, an entirely different stream manager. John, come say hi.
Hello.
So any watchers of Vampire or Simba Room will recognize John as a player and stream manager respectively in those two different streams. Yes, that's the right way around. Yeah.
I think, I'll be honest, I wasn't paying attention to which order you said them, so I just nodded.
The right one. Yeah. So John will be displaying images and giving us rule checkups and things like that throughout the evening if required. And at the end, we'll display comments and questions from you on the screen for our delight. Thanks, John.
Bye.
Bye. So, as with any venture these days, we have all kinds of social media and online presence, all of which are linked below, whether you're watching this now live on Twitch or afterwards on Twitch or afterwards on YouTube. So if you are on Twitch, we also have a YouTube where all the VODs are uploaded. If you're on YouTube, we have a Twitch, which is where these videos are originally streamed. And we also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Not etc, just those. We also have a Discord, which you can join for free and join in some chats with us. We have a Patreon, which has different levels of subscription that you can pay, and some of those include access to different bits of the Discord that you don't get access to for free. And other shows on this channel, as mentioned, on a Tuesday, Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. On a Wednesday, Simba Room, which is a free league role-playing game and is very good. And the first Saturday of every month, there is a one-shot long game on a Saturday with different GMs and different players and different systems each time. So we've had Alien, Morkborg, and Troika so far. And there will be more to come. I don't even know what the next one is. I don't think anybody does. So that's all the promo out of the way. Let's move on with the session. So for anybody watching this for the first time, our characters find themselves in a remote Scottish village, having been caught in bad weather on a train and taken to this place for a place to stay for the evening. And weird things have been happening, as is often the case in remote villages in the 1920s, I imagine. Maybe not. But in the previous session, our characters were in the village at the time of a funeral for the patriarch of one of the families in the village. And if we can bring Jack on, who plays Melvin. Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Here's Melvin. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some weird stuff that went on while the funeral was occurring?
Yeah, so while the funeral was on, a couple of the characters went down into the basement of the pub that we were sort of hanging out in. We're also staying in. And then sort of as they were down there, they the barman sort of came back, ended up sort of shutting the trap door that they were in as they were sort of sneaking around. And then also on the sort of inside of the trap door, they saw the cross chalk drawing that had been drawn on all our doors over the night. So that shocked everyone, and we all got to do some nice sanity checks. And then we sort of had another look in the basement after he'd left. And then we were sort of sat there waiting for a while. It was Lot and Willie, who is also in the village, who then went upstairs. And as he was upstairs, we were all sort of hanging out downstairs, thoroughly spooked. The church bells started ringing, but then they started ringing backwards almost, all freaky deaky like, and then sort of snapped back to reality. And then after this, Willie came down and was like, "What was that?" So sort of see whether we'd sort of experienced the same thing. So we've now got a mate that's going through it all with us, but
because Willie had not previously any weird stuff that you guys had experienced previously. He'd not been party to, had he?
no, he it was the time with the gramophone, and
Yeah.
either he thought that was what normal music sounded like, or he just wasn't.
It is
experienced
jazz, so
Yeah, he's just really into some real experimental stuff. And so yeah, we were sort of hanging out there, and then I think Duncan came back into the pub, sort of gave us all another sort of shock because we were still quite stirred up, and sort of announced that the wake was now going to be held there, and we all had to sort of scarper or go upstairs.
Yeah. So he said that he didn't mind you being in as long as you were upstairs, or alternatively, you could head out for a stroll for a couple of hours, but you are in the middle of nowhere and it is nighttime at that
February
point.
as well,
So yeah,
it's probably very cold.
Yeah. So yeah, then a number of guests of the wake poured into the pub. And if we can bring Matt on, who plays Dane. Hey Matt.
Hey folks.
So yeah, can you talk us through some of the stuff that Dane noticed throughout the wake?
Yeah, so as the funeral kind of drew to a close, we were keeping a good eye out of the window where we had a bit of a view of the church and the sort of the monument and the square there. So we noticed that everybody started leaving and heading towards the pub for the wake, but we noticed that the priest didn't join the party, and after the bulk of the audience were through into the pub, the church still had some interior lights on, the doors were open. Then we were kind of back and forth looking out, but we never heard the priest come in during the wake. The door never opened after he was the last person left. So we've made the assumption that he's been elsewhere, but not quite sure exactly what he's been doing. The only other thing we noticed, the only other thing that Dane noticed looking out the window during the wake was that the family with the young girl that we'd encountered earlier on seemed to leave very early compared to the rest of the group, so that they headed out pretty soon after the wake had begun. And yeah, that's what we noticed out the window.
Great. So while Dane was looking out the window and keeping an eye on things, Esther, who is played by Skye, if we can bring Skye on, hi Skye. So Esther was keeping an eye and ear on the wake from the top of the stairs, I believe. Do you want to go through some of the stuff that happened there?
Yeah. So Esther was just chilling at the top of the stairs, sort of out of sight. To begin with, not a lot seemed out of place. People were just sort of talking quietly in groups. A lot of people were actually just talking about their day quite quietly and with respect for the family, the Menzies family. And yeah, everything seemed quite normal for quite a while. And then there was something like that happened with the gramophone and the record player, and then the music that was playing, I think it was like just sort of jazz music, started to sort of go weird again, like it had in the past. It was really like distorted, and it did that like brain melty thing. Everything went kind of buzzy. And then it was like all the the people at the wake kind of did a time warp, and Esther could see them all wearing very traditional clothing. So some of them were wearing kilts, and it was kind of like that for a little while, and then all the music kind of came back, and it was like, kind of snapped back into reality. And after that, Esther kind of just went, "What? No," and went back to the others where they were in Dane's room, and was just like, "Nope, I'm done for the session," basically. But yeah, it was a very strange experience.
So following that, everybody left the wake, apart from a couple of the Menzies family, who the group I think it was Dane and Jemima were listening in at that point and overheard a potentially pointed kind of goodbye from Jacob Menzies to Duncan. And then the group set a watch for overnight because they didn't want to get caught out as they had the previous night with whatever had happened, whoever or whatever had been into the pub and left a marking on their door. And unfortunately, during her watch, Dr. Jemima Wallace, played by Sam, if we can get Sam on, much to her shame, fell asleep for a small portion of the watch.
And keep poking.
During that time, everybody had a strange dream again. I don't think I asked you this bit, Sam, but are you happy to go through the dream that happened?
Yeah, I think I remember it vaguely. So I think this was following on from the dream we had the other night, with being like in a coffin, but this time the sound was different. It wasn't like a scratching sound. It was the sound of digging. And I think there was like a crack of light we could see through in the coffin, and the impression we had was the coffin was being buried as the crack of light was like covered in soil as well. I think that's right. That was about all that was in the dream. It was very unpleasant.
Yes. Yeah. And Willie had that dream as well, which
Willie had it
again,
as well, that's right.
Made the group feel more like Willie was now sort of in their part of whatever was going on rather than in everybody else's part of what was going on.
As we'd said, simultaneously makes everyone feel better and worse about these dreams. But yeah, that helpfully happened while I was falling asleep on watch in the early hours of the morning, which I'm very ashamed about. And Dane politely decided that we all had the same dream, and it was immediately going to become obvious that I had to be asleep to have a dream as well. And then, I think that was about it, other than Willie noticing the very creepy thing at the end about the grave. So we looked up at the church, and having noted that, I think Willie spotted out the window, and I came to rush over to have a look. Having noted that the Menzies are like buried in the church, we saw a grave outside of the church that was open and bare, ready for someone to go inside, which was...
It wasn't open. It was filled, but it was fresh.
Oh, sorry. Fresh dug. That's right.
And there was also a small amount of dirt outside the door of the pub.
I can't remember if that was before or after we found the pile of dirt, but that was like simultaneous. Oh God, that's no nice.
Yeah.
That was where we ended.
Yeah, and Duncan had gone out about, I think, 15 minutes before you'd seen the dirt outside the door. So it's about 8 a.m. In the small, quaint Scottish village of Durrisdeer. And you've had this revelation that there has been, at some point overnight, a grave dug and filled in the churchyard in front of the church. Willie is looking a little shaken. Obviously, he took what happened last session pretty hard. I think you guys had not become accustomed to what was going on, but you'd had You'd probably had the worst shock the first time, and this was his first sort of shock that he had.
It's old hat now. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's he's looking pretty visibly shaken again by spotting this this grave thing.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine I'm still upstairs, so I'll kind of, assuming Willie isn't the first to rush downstairs immediately, run down to tell the others the revelation. Were we all having breakfast? I can't remember exactly where we were. Was that right? Or are we just kind of...
I don't think breakfast had been put out yet. I think everybody was just getting up.
Yeah, so people have just kind of arrived downstairs. Okay, so I'll see kind of the other three folks downstairs. Presumably Willie's kind of behind me as well. Just be like, I probably just don't say anything immediately. Did I make a sanity roll when I can't remember? Did I make a sanity roll for seeing the grave at the end?
Everybody made a sanity roll at the end, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, I could tell them that now, and they could that sanity roll could apply to this moment effectively. Anyway, that's all good. Okay, yeah. So I think because I made a sanity roll, regardless, I can't remember the result, but I look like very pale when I come down the stairs, kind of silently for a moment before saying anything. And then if no one says anything, I kind of just go, there's a grave, not inside the church, outside. It's fresh. That shouldn't be where he was buried, right?
Maybe they didn't have space in the church.
Every Menzies? Everyone until this one? Also, did it look like there wasn't space in the church, Jonny?
There's plenty of in the aisle sort of there is still room going down the church for some more spaces.
Yeah, so I'll be like, I don't think so. That doesn't seem...
Why would they be doing it through the night as well?
And the soil. Is Willie downstairs now as well?
He'd have followed you down, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You think he probably doesn't want to be on his own at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry, Jonny, how big is the pile of dirt? Is it like... I suppose I'm asking, can we rationalize the fact that it's
like this kind of size, like a small mound, but not so small that it's literally, some wind hasn't blown it there. It's like it's been placed there.
We couldn't mistake it for like coming off the bottom of someone's shoes or anything like that. It's pretty purposefully,
yeah, probably sort of 3 inches tall or something like that.
I mean, I'm right in thinking Duncan already had out, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he had like a morning walk or something, wasn't it?
He stepped right over this, presumably. You would have noticed it on your doorstep, though, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Is there a footstep in it? Or any obvious...
No.
Okay, so...
No, it doesn't look like it's been kicked as he's stepped over it or anything.
Yeah. Did he go out before? No, we were down. Was I downstairs when he went out? Was everyone downstairs? I can't remember now.
Dane was definitely downstairs.
Dane was downstairs.
I remember he left in quite a rush. Duncan left in quite a rush.
Okay. And it was not long ago, so presumably Duncan didn't do that, was my first thinking. That wouldn't really make sense. I think if no one else says anything at this point, I kind of turn to Willie and go, Willie, I think the key to all this is why you haven't experienced these phenomena until now. Something has changed. And if we can figure out what got you into that point, I mean, you didn't notice it when all 4 of us did. You didn't have the dream, the first dream that we had, and now you're having it. Ever since you've been to the loch up there, or ever since you've I don't know, what changed? What?
I have no idea.
There must be something to it.
I mean, believe me, I'd like to know as much as you.
You know what? I don't actually think I want to know. Honestly, we can leave them to their mumbo jumbo. I have had enough. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Someone wants to clean that up. I'm sure Mr. Kilbride would appreciate it. Yeah, Esther's just gonna go and find the kettle.
Okay.
But none of this makes any sense. It can't. It's not. Jemima just starts muttering a bit to herself.
When I saw Mr. Kilbride, he was in quite a rush. It does seem like an awful coincidence. Right after he leaves, this happens. He's been a great host. I thought I trusted him, but something is going on here.
Why would he just leave a pile of mud on his doorstep? It just doesn't make sense, really, does it?
If we're the only ones seeing, no, but he saw the marks on the doors. Then either he was flukily too preoccupied to not notice it at all, or there's something bigger going on, including him. He's part of the village, same as everyone who was downstairs. Esther, you saw everyone change, didn't you?
Sorry, what was that?
You saw everyone change when you went downstairs, didn't you? Perhaps he did too.
I don't know. I didn't see him.
He might not want to do whatever he's doing. We've seen that in a second they can ask him to do anything, and he seems like he just has to deliver for them. He didn't seem like he wanted to host the wake, but he did. Who knows what they've asked him to do?
I can't believe that Duncan's doing anything that would make us uncomfortable. You've seen him rush around after us.
He has to know more about this, though. This. It can't be that he's not experiencing anything. He doesn't know anything about the strange occurrences. It's not just this is just inhospitable very much, is it? This is something far stranger.
He said he wouldn't be long. I think we need to press him on this when he returns, and then I feel like we need to think about getting ourselves away from here. It just feels like it's escalating. Skye, what you experienced is, I cannot explain that in any meaningful way.
Well, I'd had a lot of drinks. But, I don't know. Neither can I.
I'm gonna have some of that tea, I think, if that's all right, Esther.
Yes, of course. I brought the pot. Would you like me to pour for you?
Please, thank you. My hands are a little
Yes. Yeah, I'm quite used to pouring things by now. Usually not tea. There we go. It's a cup of tea.
Thank you.
I think after a moment, Jemima goes, I think you're probably right. The best would be to just get out of here, but I want to go have another look at the church now.
Maybe there's some terrible and perfectly reasonable explanation for this. Someone else died in the night. I don't know. And someone really doesn't like either us or Mr. Kilbride, and they're just leaving stuff on the doorstep to, I don't know.
I will kind of just go and like stand at the door and see if there's anyone around outside.
There's a couple of people wandering around the village. Nobody that you massively recognize. Just people going from house to house or through the village. A couple of guys who look like they might be going out to a farm at some point, based on their clothing. But yeah, nobody that you massively recognize.
Okay. if she doesn't see Duncan immediately arriving, Jemima's like, I don't know if I can wait. I want to go look.
Hester has gone into the kitchen and come back with like a dustbin and brush. If as long I'm just going to clean this up. It's well, I don't like it very much, and I'd rather not see it anymore. Does anyone have any objections?
Jemima will put up a finger and then get out her camera.
It's a pile of dirt. Do you really need to take a photo of it?
Shh. Setting up camera.
We can keep the dirt.
While I'm taking a photo, Jonny, this is probably a stupid question, but it's the sort of natural history thing that Jemima would be thinking. Natural world, that's the stat. Does the Earth look like it's from the surface topsoil, or does it look like deeper, loamy Earth that might have been dug with stones and stuff from deeper down?
Feel free to make a roll on Natural History Museum.
Yeah, Natural History Museum indeed. Yeah, wow, that's a 2. Okay.
Okay. If you haven't yet ticked,
I've ticked
Natural World.
The only one I've ticked.
Okay. Yeah.
5%.
It's
Yeah.
from further down.
Mm-hmm. That's a 5%. You're gonna give me anything more? Come on, that was a 2.
It's
That's
yeah.
fine.
It's from much further down, like a number of feet down from
the
topsoil.
Yeah. I don't think Jemima says anything about that. She just kind of was expecting that.
Yeah. So have you snapped a picture?
Yeah. It probably takes a few minutes, so Esther's waiting impatiently with the.
Are you done? Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. I understand pursuit of knowledge and all that. Whatever can be gained from it. Yeah. And Esther will just begin to sweep up the soil. And once she's got it in the pan, she'll go, does anybody have any suggestions? Should we keep it? Put it back where it came from?
I think Jemima's probably kind of outside.
I think we just chuck it in the street. I've rather it just be sort of gone with the wind, really.
Yeah, me too. Any flower beds around?
There are some flower beds around the War Memorial, if you're asking a genuine question.
All right. Well, unless anybody's going to stop me, Esther's going to go over there and dump the soil out in the flower bed. I'm going to stride over, dump it out, give it a good sweep, and then walk back and just be like, well, that's that taken care of. At least, we know it's there. It's not pretending to be there. I'm just going to walk into the kitchen and put the pan back.
Once Esther gets back, I'm kind of looking up at the church and kind of motioning that I want to go up there, but definitely not by myself.
Jonny, is the church door open from where we can see?
It's certainly not fully open. You can't tell from here whether it's slightly ajar. You'd need to get a bit closer to be able to figure that out, but it's definitely not wide open like you've seen it at certain points previously.
Would we have noticed Jemima's nodding us towards the church, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not hiding it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you and going. I'm wandering out in that slow, let's go, guys, sort of way.
Right. Looks like we're going. Oh, we've nothing better to do. But I think Duncan is coming back soon. I don't know if anyone will be happy to wait for him, or I guess we won't be long in the church, will we?
Some people could stay. That's fine.
I mean, we're not prisoners here. I'm sure you just assume that we've gone for a morning walk or something. or if Willie wants to stay, I don't know. I'll go to the church.
I would really like to speak to Duncan, so I'm happy to wait here with Willie if you guys want to go and investigate.
I'll do whatever. I just as long as don't take this for me being some kind of coward, but as long as I'm not on my own, I'm happy staying or going.
If you guys want to stay, that's all good. I'm gonna go now. Jemima starts walking off towards the church, a la Esther from 2 episodes ago.
Melvin will follow.
Is Esther also going to the church? Or staying at the pub? Or doing something else?
Probably staying at the pub.
Okay. So are you three going to sit just in the bar, or are you going to be doing anything else while these guys are away?
Drinking a cup of tea at the bar, I think.
Okay. Cool. So Jemima and Melvin head off towards the church. Through the small gate at the front of the churchyard. Are you planning on heading over towards the grave, or are you going straight towards the church door?
First of all, Jemima is ever so slightly deflated that of all the people who came with it was Melvin. Sorry, Melvin. But she doesn't show it. I say to Melvin as we kind of walk up, should we check if Menzies was buried in there first? Then we know what the grave is, if not.
Yeah, I think it might be best to get our bearings somewhat, at least. It might clear something up.
Yeah,
makes it
cool.
more comfortable.
Jemima strides inside and goes straight for the Menzies aisle, seeing if it looks like a fresh stone has been laid or something changed.
Okay. Can you make me a spot hidden roll, please? Melvin can also do this if you want.
Yeah, go
on. Or Jack can do it. It'd be weird if Melvin made a spot hidden roll.
He brought his dice with him.
I got 68. I failed.
Okay.
It's
going to be. It's a hard one as well, so half difficulty. Sorry. So you still
I rolled under my half. Yeah. So
great.
Nice.
Yeah. So rules explanation for anybody watching. If you can do a hard or I can't remember what the other one is called, but it's basically rolling under half your stat or under a fifth of your stat. I think it might be impossible, the lower one. I can't remember what it's called. But
something like
extreme, that's it, yeah. So, yeah, that's great. So, as you are having a look at there is a freshly laid, quite nicely, ornately chiseled stone here for Donald Menzies. What Melvin spots is that it doesn't look properly secured. As in the others have sort of what you would expect in terms of the stone is laid and then it's sort of, sealed around the outside with sort of the equivalent of grout, I guess, but like cementy stuff around the outside to hold that in place. This one, while it's essentially flush with what's around it, doesn't look to be sealed in, and it is like a minuscule gap. But Melvin just manages to, you think that maybe there is a small gap there.
You'll say, they've not done a very good job on this one compared to the others.
What do you mean? It looks okay. This one's, it's as we expected in the line and everything. It's carved nicely.
They're all sealed and secured round the sides. Look, it's a small gap, but you'd think with someone who's such high standing in the village to be in the church, they'd make sure it's all in order.
Okay, Jemima will immediately crouch down and kind of finger the gap then.
Yeah, it's literally about 0.5 millimeter. Like, it's a very small gap, but if you actually sort of, if you put the end of your nail in, you can feel that there is a little gap there.
Okay. Is there any like breeze or anything from it, or is it like just no light?
No, there's nothing other than the fact that you can feel this slight gap. There isn't anything else telling there.
Cool. Does it go right round the stone, or is it?
Yes.
You best believe Jemima is checking the absolute detail about this gap. She's like, "This is weird. Anything that's weird now."
Yeah, it's all around the outside unless you sort of, nudge it in one direction, and then that side's more flush than the other side. But yes.
Yeah. Jemima is like on her hands and knees. She kind of stands up and then looks around to see if anyone is in there but Melvin. Presumably there's no one in the church at all.
No, there's nobody else in the church.
That'd have been awkward if the guy that laid it was stood right behind us and all.
Just there like. And then she just tries like pushing it from different directions. Because it's weird that it's not fitted completely.
Yeah, so you can't get very much out of it. It will shift slightly, like I've said. Like you can move it that 0.5 millimeter that way, and make a full millimeter gap on one side, or move it back. But you can't get very much else out of it other than that. And that's quite an effort to do with a stone on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically using your fingertips to try and push it along.
Jemima is strong though, so it would make sense that she could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's proper like suspicious of everything at this point, so she's really invested. Melvin's probably a bit awkwardly stood there. I imagine after about 10 or 15 minutes of just playing with this stone.
Wishing he'd never said anything.
Yeah. Jemima stands up, kind of flush in the face, and goes, I don't know. The only idea I have is they want to lift it again at some point, I suppose. But that would be difficult with the narrow gap around the edges. Why would they want to do that?
It seems like the sort of thing once it's down, you don't really want to be digging it back up again.
No. And
maybe
if they did that, you'd think they would leave it like room for a lever or something. But that tiny gap, it's like it's the only way of lifting it would be from underneath it.
But wow. Doesn't make any sense. I know we've seen some strange things, but there's maybe we should check the grave outside.
Yes, you're right.
See what that says.
We came to look at that, and I think Jemima stands up and then kind of hesitates, looking pale in the face slightly.
Are you okay?
Yes. That was the soil from this grave, wasn't it, outside our door?
Well, I think it's safe to say that, yeah. But
I have to know, but I'm not sure I want to look.
Well, if you want, I could look and tell you afterwards what it says, if that's any better.
You lead the way.
We'll go outside and have a look at this freshly dug. Is there a headstone on it, or is it just a mound?
There's not a headstone, no. It's just a sort of 6.5 foot by, say, 3 foot rectangle. Where yesterday there was grass, there is now dirt, basically.
And it is in sort of like a plot in the graveyard. It's not just sort of...
Yeah.
Are there any signs of like lots of footprints of... Well, it would have been dug, so there would have been lots of footprints around where it was dug.
So as you step outside, the weather, when you woke up, it was relatively sunny. It's starting to sort of cloud over a bit now. You're still getting shafts of light through from the sun, but it's sort of clouds rolling over the sun as you head outside. So you head over to the grave, and there are sort of bits of dirt around it, as you said, Sam, that from people, whoever has been doing this, it's obviously not completely clean around it. There is some dirt around on the grass and stuff. Yeah.
This is the silliest question to ask. Can Jemima see a shovel anywhere nearby?
No.
Okay.
So as you've come out of the church and gone to look at the grave, so if you've come out of the church, it's over to the left, essentially, as you've come out from the path that leads you down to the gate. Are you going down to it and sort of standing next to it on this side of it and looking at it?
As in, is the church behind or is the entrance to the gate?
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to figure out which edge you're at. Or if you're moving round it to...
At the moment I arrive, I kind of stand and just look at it for a while, and then after, like, I don't know, 30 seconds, I'll walk around it and have a closer look, so...
I think, yeah, Melvin sort of looking at it from the sort of shortest path out of the door, right, walking, obviously not over people's graves, but...
Yeah.
But I'm definitely focused on the thing as well, so...
Dane and Esther, about 15 minutes has passed by this point. Are you literally sitting at the bar with your cups of tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Melvin and Jemima are looking pretty intently at what's going on here, I believe, from what you've described.
Yeah.
So with a start, you hear a voice from behind you say, "Well, I guess yous must be the visitors."
Jemima literally jumps in the air and leaps towards Melvin.
Which probably doesn't help that Melvin's also jumps in the air probably slightly.
Imagine we end up sprawled, kind of, if I've actually leapt at you then. Okay, yeah. We both end up sprawled, kind of half panic turning around then.
Great. And you see, John, could you please display Jacob Menzies, the lovely new artwork for Jacob?
Any tentacles?
Some sort of eldritch beast. Oh god, the suspense.
The suspense.
A really weird hat. Just like it looks like the head continues, like with the hat.
So you spot and Melvin.
I don't think
Melvin and had you heard him last night? Was Melvin one of the ones that was listening with Dane?
I was listening. I don't think Melvin.
Oh, okay.
Melvin was no.
I saw them at the funeral parade, but I don't think I would have known who he was.
So, if Jemima was listening with Dane, then Jemima would recognize the voice from last night. So you spin round and see him if John puts the artwork up anytime, and he says, "Are you having a pleasant morning?"
Yeah. Yes.
I will literally turn and frown at Melvin.
There he is.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't think I say anything to him at all, probably. I just turn and frown at Melvin when he says having a good morning. Yes to that, but I don't say anything.
Are you?
That's up for debate at the moment. Might I recommend that you return to Mr. Kilbride's premises? He'll be sure to take good care of you.
I'm okay. I'm sorry if we've upset you in any way.
No, you're fine. Any issues, just tell him Jacob told him to take care of you.
Jemima's like already scrabbled up and is kind of just nodding and walking off quite quickly.
Okay. I hope your morning gets better. Did he give his last name then? Sorry, I didn't.
No.
He just said Jacob, did he?
He didn't give his name, but Jemima would recognize his voice from last night.
So I would know him as Mr. Menzies, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you'd have heard Jacob last night as well, actually, if you would have remembered that. If you think you would have remembered. It was quite notable, the conversation. So,
if we're kind of walking off, and Melvin, were you done, Melvin?
Yeah, I think he's sort of saying this as he's sort of. I don't know whether Jemima's sort of like half dragging him, sort of.
She's just walked off herself, I think. She's like...
yeah, realising he's on his own. He's sort of, probably, powering off.
Is he like just staring at us as we go, Jonny?
He watches until you get through the gate. Do you close the gate behind you, do you think?
I was going to say, I don't think I go all the way. I think I kind of stop, not too far away, like within voice range, and kind of sigh and hold my shoulders up high, and then turn around and look at him and say, Mr. Menzies, was there another death?
Not yet.
She just turns around and walks off very quickly.
Yeah, I think with that, Melvin's, he's not sticking around.
Once you head through the gate, do you turn back and look back at all as you're heading towards the pub, or do you sort of keep head down, do you think?
Keep head down, get to the relative safety.
Jemima closes the gate, takes one look over her shoulders. If there's anything, is he still watching us?
He's actually started walking towards the door of the church.
Okay.
As you turn around.
Okay, cool. Once I've got through the gate, I run back to the pub. Probably maybe leaving Melvin behind me. Melvin, you're free to run with me.
I think he has a brisk half run, half walk back to the pub.
It's not very far, but Jemima comes like crashing through the door, like red faced.
Oh. What's wrong?
We met Mr. Menzies, the younger one, the alive one.
Well, he seems to be in all the business around town. Not particularly surprising.
The grave, he said, no one else has died yet.
So they expected someone to die and they didn't?
Why is it filled in? Why did they say yet? Well, that's not...
Do you want to make a psychology roll? Melvin can as well, if you want. Melvin's used to dealing with
people.
Firm and unpleasant gentlemen.
Nope, I don't have much psychology.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That was an extreme success.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Give that a tick then on your sheet. So, yeah, rules-wise again. In the Call of Cthulhu rules as written, if you succeed on a skill roll, you get a tick. I think in the first episode of this stream, I said I thought that was too easy to get ticks in things. So I've said on a harder extreme, people can get a tick, which later gives you the chance to improve that skill. So on a success for Melvin, you are not convinced that he was actually implying that somebody else would die. You think he was trying to be intimidating.
Okay.
You couldn't say that with 100% certainty, but you're sort of edging more that way than he's saying that he's going to murder somebody or anything like that.
Anything weird, it is just being a big, horrible, nasty person.
Given that the threat definitely worked, Jemima is certainly convinced that he meant he's going to kill us and put us in the grave.
Did you question him at all?
Only if anyone else had died. He was intimidating.
You let yourself be bullied by some country bumpkin.
He was a rather large country bumpkin, to be fair.
Well, I mean, he's not the sheriff or whatever you have in these parts.
Why don't you go and speak to him then if you're so concerned?
Where is he?
In the church, presumably. I don't think he wants to talk to us much.
What did he say?
Nothing else really. Just presuming we were the guests, and then that.
Saying his morning was I sort of asked if he was having a good morning, and he said it was up for debate. I think, yeah, it might have been a bit of a thinly veiled, I don't know, threat or insinuation that was down to how much trouble he had to deal with us. He definitely
Sure sounds like he likes to throw his weight around.
Maybe you'd like to
There's a lot of
expedite
men
our.
like that in my time.
Maybe you'd like to expedite our departure. If he wants us gone, why are they not helping us leave?
That's true. Is Willie still here?
Willie is still here, yes. He's looking very uncomfortable throughout all of this. He's on his second cup of tea and he's kind of holding it as if he's cold, even though it's relatively warm in here because there's a stoked fire in the fireplace, but he's kind of, cradling the cup of tea.
I'll look over to Willie and ask him, have you had any meeting with Mr. Menzies?
No, I haven't. I haven't met any of them. I believe that the father may have been ill by the time I arrived in the village, so I think the family's been sort of, around his bedside. So there's been I've not seen any of them actually, apart from I think maybe I saw Jacob's wife go to the store at one point, but no, the Menzies have not been out and about really while I've been here.
Do you think, Melvin, this was also an elaborate thing to scare us or something? The digging? If he said not yet.
It's a bit far, surely, digging a grave and everything.
Well, we're already damn scared.
And yeah, I'm not doubting if that's what they're doing. The effectiveness of it. It's just, I don't know. But then, why else would they dig it if it's not, if no one else has died? And then,
did you spot anything else while you were out?
The grave. Melvin spotted it.
Yes, the stone that the latest Menzies to be buried there. His stone is not as well fitted as the rest of them were. There was maybe not a noticeable gap, but there was a gap around it that wasn't around any others. It was,
like it wasn't sealed in or something.
Yeah,
deliberately, I would guess. Strange to leave it like that.
I don't know what to make of this. It sounds like he's suggesting that there isn't another body that could be out there, so
why would they dig it and fill it in?
Does it really matter?
But nothing here makes any sense.
He's an unpleasant man and he's up to some unpleasant business. We probably stumbled into the middle of a racket or something. We just want us gone, or apparently.
As Dane said, I guess that's all that they should want to.
Did he say anything about it?
Not specifically.
What did he say?
We said everything.
And he's supposed to be the head honcho around here. Does that sound about right, Willie?
That's my understanding in terms of the, I mean, in so much as there's no mayor, there's no, immediate law enforcement, there's the village council, but actually the Menzies don't seem to be a part of that. But I can't imagine that can't imagine that if Jacob went to the village council and said that he wanted something doing, that it wouldn't get done, if you know what I mean. I'm not really sure where the influence lies with them. Aside from the fact that, as you say, they've been here for a very long time.
And Willie, strange question, but I'm assuming you don't know of anything in rural Scottish culture of digging empty graves and filling them in?
Not right off the top of my head. I'll have a think about it, but
I figured that would be the answer. I know Esther. Jemima starts scribbling. It gets her notebook and starts scribbling again. Just close the curtains. 2 seconds.
As you've been having this conversation, down here there's sort of one window out of the front of the pub, and you've seen it get slightly darker outside, and it's begun snowing.
What kind of time are we on, Jonny?
Probably. How long were you guys in the church? Do you think 30 minutes total? I would guess.
Sounds.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was there
about
for a good amount of time.
8:30.
Well, does anyone else have any plans?
Look, he wants us gone. That much is clear. I think everybody wants us gone. He sounds like he could make things happen. I'm not sure why we don't just ask him if he can help us leave.
We
Draw
don't
a
have.
line under this.
How much luggage do people have? Like, I know Melvin probably has something that wouldn't be easily hikeable with. Would it be unfair of me to suggest we were to walk, out of curiosity, Jonny in general?
I don't think so, depending on how much people have with them.
Given the circumstances, I think I'll say we could just walk out of here. We could be there by the end of the day, out on the train potentially, if we really. Well,
In this weather?
you want to stay? I
mean-
do glance at Esther's cane and feel kind of guilty.
As much as I want to be out of this place, I mean, I've not really brought, the correct sort of attire for a cross-country hike or anything like that, and with the weather's not great, and no guarantee there's a place to stay. We could get to the next village, it'd be dark, and we're homeless.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, part of me wants to find out what's going on here, not leave at all. It's just.
Well,
Cool.
surely Mr. Kilbride has a number for somebody in the next village who can pay to come and pick us up at some point. We just need to find Mr. Kilbride.
I'm just have an idea at that. Is the phone wasn't in the pub? It was in the.
It was in the
Kilbride.
residence area at the back, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, probably not just going to wander into his house to check his phone.
We're in
probably
at
not.
once.
Yeah, I know. Right now, she doesn't immediately. But Jemima does go, well, maybe he has a phone book or something. We could look at the local numbers.
Is
He
anybody
said we were
paying
welcome to
particular
use his phone.
attention out of the window at the moment?
I'm definitely not.
No,
I don't think so.
Not really, no. We're just making plans to escape.
Very unobservant today.
Melvin, your uncle must have some connections around here. Do you think he could help us? He must want you back.
He doesn't really go in for anything too sort of, countrified, especially not up here. I don't think anything out of any major cities he'd have much luck with. And I don't suppose we know how far away from Glasgow we actually are, really, are we?
I can figure that out for you if you continue.
But we wouldn't know anyway, would
But
we?
we probably don't have much
You
of an
might
idea.
you might have had a vague idea of how close the how many stops along you were at Thornhill potentially. But you're about 60 miles out total.
But Thornhill was like within a reasonable walk. I remember thinking that. Because
it was about just over 10 miles, I think, to Thornhill.
That was going to be Jemima's suggestion for the hike if we had to. Not that, as I say, Jemima is necessarily convinced she even wants to leave now, despite all this. Very conflicted, I think.
Well, the gentleman who brought us here, he was unavailable yesterday due to the funeral, but today there's nothing happening.
What was his name again?
Jimmy.
So yeah, Jimmy, that was it. I suppose we could hope so.
Mr. Harrow, when did you see Mr. Kilbride go out?
It must have only been 5 or 10 minutes before you guys left. He rushed out the door very quickly. He said he would only be an hour or so, but again, he did look in a rush, and he wasn't keen to hang around and talk, so I'm not quite sure where he went.
We could head to the village shop. The lady there might know. If we didn't want to wait, I suppose that's the only other person we know. Unless you know anyone else, Willie.
Perhaps we can arrange a ride out of here.
Can you all make me listen rolls?
We're just so unobservant. We're just not going to notice anything, Johnny, this whole time.
It's fine.
There's a ritual going on outside, and we're just like...
I passed. I have a 70 in listen, and I got a 52.
Nice.
I got a good pass, a hard pass.
Nice.
Making them rolls today.
It's a new app, so if anyone wants any recommendations.
Do you want to tick that for Melvin then, if it was hard?
I did not pass, and he did 20, and I got 35.
Okay. Melvin and Esther hear in a short gap between conversation that the phone in the back room is ringing.
Oh, phone's ringing. I'll go get it. And Esther will like sprint through. The phone.
Jemima just watches Esther go, kind of like, okay.
So you get to the phone and
I pick it up and I go, yes, this is the Durrisdale Inn. How can I help you?
You hear a voice say, is Duncan not there?
He went out for a walk. Why? What's wrong?
Never mind. And the phone hangs up.
Jemima's kind of half followed you.
Did I recognize the voice at all?
You don't think so?
Okay.
Jemima's kind of half followed you and then just walks into the room and goes, I wonder if he's got a phone book or something around here of contacts, and then kind of
Suit yourself.
looks around. Is there a phone book, Johnny?
Are you having a look through like the bookshelves and stuff? Any bookshelves that are there? Or are you just looking where there isn't one at the phone?
I'm going to look at the phone. Is there a redial option?
There is not.
No, not on those ones. I probably won't look very long, so no, I don't suspect I'll have a serious look on the bookshelf. There's nothing obvious that would be used as one. Well, not that I'm considering doing this. I'm more just curious. Was 999 a thing in the 20s? Actually, no. I don't think it was.
What exactly would you say to them?
I know. Well, I don't think Jemima would call
Help.
them right now. I was just curious because there might be generic numbers.
It was
Yeah.
1937, 30th of June, 1937. So there's no 999, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Man, so
okay.
if your house got burgled the day before, you're out of luck.
Jemima probably stands there and thinks about calling a number of people, given the weirdness of the circumstance, and then realize like what's she gonna do or say to anyone, and then just kind of walks out the room. She might like actually after a second go, "Oh, did they say anything, Esther?"
They were looking for Duncan.
Makes
Didn't
sense.
seem to want to talk to me. Didn't give me a chance.
Didn't say anything else.
Never mind.
Oh.
Sounded like they were from around here. That's all I know.
Do you want to make a psychology roll for Esther, Skye?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on.
Nope. I don't think I
No.
got that. My psychology's not that good.
Okay,
Yeah, no, definitely not.
that's fine.
Imagine we kind of head back to the main room after a couple of minutes, just like assuming you guys didn't follow us. No sign of Duncan or anyone.
No?
Nothing here. No. How was the phone call?
Just someone asking after him. Didn't seem to want to talk to me. Did Duncan tell you where he went or where he was going?
No, I got nothing from him. I don't know, Melvin, Jemima, did you see him when you were out?
Not at all.
No. Is he normally gone this long in the morning, Willie?
I
Johnny?
think he's frozen.
Not frozen.
Frozen with fear.
It was the true question that wasn't. That was it. Turns out it's all about Duncan's timely habits. You're back,
Hello?
Johnny.
Yeah, everything went weird then. And it wasn't even me doing it. Sorry.
Melvin had asked Willie if Duncan's normally gone this long, or is he normally back by now?
I mean, normally at this time he'd be, cooking me an egg or something. So I don't know. He nips out, but not normally at this time of the day.
I mean, I guess it was a strange situation, but I mean, Dane, you heard the conversation he had with Mr. Menzies last night. I wonder if he's a bit worried himself.
What kind of conversation?
I think we mentioned it to you guys vaguely. I think it was something like, it sounded almost threatening, didn't it?
Yeah, Essa really wasn't listening to most of what happened at the end of last session. So
Dane, what did he say? I'll be seeing you or something like that.
Yeah, he wasn't very positive about the wake.
sounds like he's not a very positive man.
Certainly true.
But what do we do now? Is the question. We can't just sit here forever. Hope someone will help us leave.
Well, we thought about the shop. Can't do any harm, right?
I mean, the shop must get deliveries, so maybe there's, today's the day that they're getting a delivery and we can jump on a car or something.
Sure.
I agree. Anything at this point.
Do we want to wait for Dunk? I guess it doesn't matter. He'll be here when we get back if he's here. Shall we just all go?
He'll be here if he's here. I suggest you'll wrap up warm.
It was cold out there.
I'm going to get my coat.
Me too.
Yeah. Esther goes up to get her coat, and she wants to make sure the tiny little handgun that she has is in her pocket, and her deadly hat pin is in the other pocket. She's good to go. Yeah.
Then we'll look at his hunting knife and then think better of it.
And then Melvin's deadly weapon comes out.
It's a fountain pen.
Right, most I have is a Swiss Army knife, and I definitely don't think Jemima's picking that up.
Hey, pen is mightier than the sword. We can put that to the test. See who wins.
All right.
Okay, so you're heading out to the shop. Is that the plan?
Yes.
I think Willie will probably come with us if he's in, I imagine.
Willie would certainly be coming with you. Yeah, he's not wanting to be left alone at the moment, especially here, because this is actually where all the weird stuff has happened as far as he's concerned as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is there any sign of Mr. Menzies, who I'm like literally looking for specifically now?
Esther says in a kind of very thin and sort of falsely jolly tone, like, "Oh, and I wonder if we'll see the terrible head honcho, Mr. Menzies, around here anywhere." And under her breath, just goes, "If he gives us any trouble, I'll just shoot him."
I like glance around when I hear that. Also, I really want to make a listen check at that.
Is Jemima sort of looking out of the windows to see if he's around before heading out or anything? Is it going to that degree?
I mean, I don't know if anyone was leaving the door before me. If someone else is already outside, then yeah. If we're all kind of just getting ready in the downstairs, I would have a quick look out the window before we head outside then. Yeah. So yeah, I imagine before we go out.
He is not in the street. When you look out the window, you notice that the snow has settled a reasonable degree already. There's quite a lot coming down. There are a couple of kids out. Sort of, it's quite an effort to get enough snow together still to make a snowball, but they're doing their best and probably ending up with bits of sort of mud in there as well that they're throwing at their friends. No stones, as far as you can tell.
I will kind of go on. Sorry.
Yeah, at one point you see that there's actually a reasonable amount of snow in the flower bed where Esther had put the dirt from outside the door, and one of the kids goes and starts building a snowball from that area.
Snow and dirt ball.
Yeah. But no Menzies.
Esther sort of sticks her head around the door next to you and goes, "What a charming village scene."
No hope of walking out in this.
No, definitely not. Probably not much hope of getting a cart out if it continues.
I don't want to be stuck here for another night. Not without figuring out what's going on at the very least.
Well then, we'd better make haste.
Okay, as you head outside, can you all make spot hidden rolls for me, please?
So many things. Ooh,
Oh yeah, I have a tick on my spot hidden. What does that mean from last time?
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything yet. It means when we do an improvement check, you will get to see if that improves.
Well, at any rate, I failed miserably because it's something like 25 and I got 81.
Failed.
Yeah, bad fail here, 94.
Just call me the king of this session.
We need the app.
It's a normal success this time, though.
Okay. You spot, there are obviously all around, there are a few sort of footprints in the snow. But you spot that there are a set of footprints going up to the window of the pub to sort of right outside the window. And then heading off again.
I'll point that out. I'll say, did anyone see anyone at the window. I'll say as I sort of pointing to the footsteps.
Do they look like they belong to the feet of a very large and intimidating head honcho?
Do they, Jonny?
They're reasonably normal-sized footprints. You probably didn't notice whether Jacob Menzies had enormous feet, but yeah, they don't look abnormally large or small or anything particularly notable.
Doesn't have J Menzies written in the sole of his boot.
No.
I will. I'll just say mutter kind of. So that just happened then. We didn't even, notice it, did we?
Someone's keeping an eye on us then.
I'll look around, feverishly nervous, see if anyone looks like they're walking away from the pub.
Well, if someone's keeping an eye on us, then why don't we return the favor?
What do you mean, Esther?
I just think it would be best for us to stay very, very alert from now on. And, well, it wouldn't hurt to have a look around and not be seen while doing it.
Jonny, is there like a clear route through the snow where they've left the window and have headed off that we could follow, potentially, or not really? Another snow's quite light, right?
Yeah, so it's obvious that they've gone in front of the window because there's no other footprints there or anything like that, so it's very clear that that is somebody has gone up to the window. You see that they're going sort of back past the door of the pub again, but after that, there is a bit more of a grouping of lots of different sets of footprints. Some areas have sort of been scarred out by the kids picking up chunks of snow and stuff as well. So once you can see that they're going that way, and you almost feel like they're probably going the direction of the shop and the lake and the vicar's house rather than the other way. But you can't follow it to a destination.
Okay. It's just kind of generally back into the village.
Yeah.
I think Esther's going to walk over to the kids and just be like, oh, hello. Looks like a fun game.
Yeah, it's great. One of them sort of pretends to throw a snowball at you and then throws it at their friend. He gets hit in the face. And
nice shot. Very impressive.
Thank you. I can't get distracted or he'll... throws another snowball.
Don't worry, I'll help you make the snowballs. You can throw them. Have you know the man who owns the pub?
Oh, Mr. Kilbride. Yes.
Have you seen him today?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Have you seen anyone else come by? We were expecting him to come back soon.
So the person that you're talking to is a young boy. There's a young girl who is the other person that's playing with the snowballs. She's got red hair. Upon sort of paying a little bit more attention, you realize that she's probably the young girl that you passed on the first day and saw with her family at the funeral. And she says, I think my dad came looking for Mr. Kilbride. I saw him wander up to the front of the pub, and then I think he went home.
Oh, all right then. Well, we'll be sure to let her know if we see him. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a fun time. And I hope the snow lasts for you.
As you say that, as the young boy's still looking at you, you see the girl sort of grin and pick up some snow and smash it into the back of his head.
Oh, that's why you should always keep your eye out, lad. And go, okay, well, goodbye. Thank you. And go back to the others. And go, well, that answers that question. That lass, she said that her dad came by the pub looking for Mr. Kilbride, and The footsteps we can see are probably his. Her dad is I kind of got that she was the daughter of the family that looked a bit out of place.
Yes.
I knew that. Yeah. I think she's the daughter of the family that looked a bit out of place. You know, thinking about it, if someone was looking for Mr. Kilbride, perhaps that's who it was on the phone as well.
Maybe we should go meet him. I don't know. Maybe he might not be too happy to see us.
Didn't seem all that keen to talk to us.
But as you say, I guess we'll have to do some investigating.
I don't suppose Mr. Menzies said anything about where he could be when you saw him?
No, but I'll bet the friendly shopkeeper lady could help us with that.
Sure, we can go and talk to her.
Okay, as you are heading down the road towards the shop, the snow's quite full on, so it's got that kind of dampened sound around that makes everything feel incredibly quiet. And it's not a whiteout, but you can probably only see properly about 15 feet in front of you. And the rest of it kind of, you know, and it looks almost like cloud past the bits that you can see. And you, as you approach where you know the priest's house is, you spot Duncan walking towards you. He's not dressed as warmly as he should be, because obviously he went out before the weather turned. And he says, good morning again to all of you. Are you out on a walk? Do you want to come back to the pub and I'll prepare you some breakfast?
Yeah, of course. We were just coming to find you. There was a gentleman who was looking for you. I believe the father of that the young girl with the lovely red hair.
Can you, anybody watching this exchange, can you make a psychology roll for me?
Mm-hmm. I wish I'd leveled that higher.
I'm chucking this out loads.
Nope.
Do I count as watching, or am I in the conversation?
No, you are included, because you'll be paying attention to his facial expression. Yeah, it's more reading his body language and facial expressions than.
Yeah, I definitely failed that one. 61.
I got a good pass. Needed 50, got 13.
Nice. Give that a tick.
Nice.
Cat.
Jack, how's Melvin done?
He didn't pass this one, I'm afraid.
Okay. So Dane notices that as Esther says someone was looking for you, he sort of stiffens up and looks quite concerned. And then when she says it's the dad of the young girl, he's almost, he doesn't literally breathe a sigh of relief, but in terms of his body language, he does. And he says, "Oh yes, I'll certainly catch up with him later, but for now, please allow me."
Also, oh, sorry, I must tell you, I'm afraid there was also someone who was ringing for you in the pub, but I didn't get the name, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure that whoever it was will call back. But please let me fulfill my role as your host and prepare you some breakfast. I'll make something warm to fix you from the weather.
Thank you very much.
He kind of leads you back towards the pub. Sorry, go on, Sam.
I was going to say, Jemima's full of Esther's idea of investigating and wrapped up pretty warm and not too bothered by the cold right now. I think she's going to just kind of not really say anything, but kind of wander off instead.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really going to say anything in the group, but you probably, I'm not trying to hide it, so you probably notice. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you were too distracted to notice I'm gone.
Yeah, Duncan heads off first. So if anybody thinks they would notice Jemima and wants to accompany, then I'm fine with that. And Duncan wouldn't notice at this point, at least.
Dr. Wallace, I'll say it quietly, so we're not like, where are you going?
I don't know. I thought you had a good idea. Maybe could just have a wander around the village. I'll be safe as long as I'm outside. See what's going on.
I mean, yes, but I believe that if anyone knows that you're watching, then you won't see what you might be looking for. Perhaps it's better to do this at a less, well, when it's darker.
Go on. Sorry, Dane. You could chip in.
I think Dane's just thinking about what he intuited from Duncan. Duncan obviously doesn't feel safe, or is on edge. So I think he just said to Jemima, I don't know if you noticed just then, but I'm not even sure Duncan feels safe out here. I think you're best to we should stick together, or at least take someone with you, Jemima. If you want to have a look around.
You're probably right. Foolish idea, I guess.
If you're determined, I can go with you, but
I
think it's best we get some breakfast.
Let's go back for now. You're right. I just want to find out what's going on.
I think we have some questions to ask Duncan too.
Jemima is successfully persuaded from striking off on her own.
Okay. You get back to the pub, and Duncan says, I see that you got some tea going. That's good. I'll prepare some more. Are you happy with I know Willie will be, so I'm not asking him, but is everybody happy with some eggs, maybe some mushrooms? I'll see what else I have.
Oh no, the breakfast was too much.
The suspense of seeing what else he's got for breakfast.
I know. We're never going to find out what else we could have for breakfast.
I'm back.
But Esther's very hangry.
Oh god. Do we have you, Jonny?
I'm back.
Cool. Okay. I just think I give a gentle nod. Not really.
Okay. Yeah, he heads off into the kitchen.
You said, Dane, he looked scared, almost? Well, obviously, I didn't perceive it, so I'm kind of pushing you more, saying it quietly across the table.
I just got the sense that when we mentioned that someone was looking for him, there was definitely a reaction there, I felt. I'm not sure if anyone else did. And then he was certainly relieved when he heard it was not. Well, when he heard who it was, as you said, Esther, the father of that girl. I just wonder whether he's on the lookout for anyone else at the moment. And
well, you said Jacob Menzies didn't seem too friendly towards him.
Doesn't seem too friendly at all. Not surprising. You might be scared of him. So I wonder. Wow.
I may just go ask him while he's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's uncomfortable talking about it in front of the group. How do you guys feel about that?
Can you all make a listen roll?
Yeah, I pass.
Yeah, passed.
I got 20.
Nice.
My listen is 70.
Oh, nice. If you've not ticked listen yet, tick it.
Nice. Okay.
I did not pass.
Okay. Esther and Melvin hear the phone ring. And Duncan heading off towards it.
Esther, yeah.
Well, we were just talking, me and Dane were just talking about potentially going to talk to him in the kitchen, so. And
he seems to be busy now. I just heard the phone ring. quite funny that Melvin and I keep hearing the phone. I wonder if it's like on a frequency that we can hear.
Ultraphone hearing. Well, Melvin would be sensitive to the phone, to be fair.
I know, right?
It's hard for me. That's the
Yeah.
scariest thing that's happened to
Every
him.
The ring of the phone, the ring of doom. Oh dear. I can't decide if Esther's just gonna like hurry through the kitchen and just go and eavesdrop, because that's Esther's thing.
Yeah, I think Dane was kind of halfway towards getting up and going over, but he's now stuck. And he doesn't
Frozen.
quite know what to
Frozen
do.
in
Yeah,
Have
frozen.
Esther or Melvin done anything about that? Are you two just sitting there saying, I think he's otherwise, like, busy?
I think Dane was thinking of heading up, but then now that you mentioned you can hear the phone, he's second guessing himself. I guess it's the phone ringing that you can hear, is it, rather than...
Yeah, has he picked up, Jonny?
Yeah, after sort of 3 rings by the time he's got from the kitchen, he has picked up. You can't hear any conversation from this distance. So he's either picked up or it stopped ringing. He couldn't say for definite that he has picked up.
This is a great image. All of us like half stood up or halfway across the room, frozen, not sure whether to eavesdrop or not, out of politeness or nervousness.
I mean,
I think Dane is just gonna head over to the door and see if he can hear anything.
The kitchen door or the residence door?
Maybe stopping briefly at the kitchen door, but then if you can't hear anything, heading through to the residence door.
At the kitchen door, you would be able to, if you listened carefully and everyone else was quiet, you'd be able to hear a murmur, but not what was actually happening.
Esther does follow him. So, yeah. Esther goes, can't hear anything from here. Should we go a little closer? Of course, if he comes back out, then we'll be caught eavesdropping.
Let's open the door and stay relatively close. And if he comes out, we've just come in and we're looking for him.
Sure. My hands were quite cold from being out and about anyway. I was hoping to get some hot water for them before, arthritis sets in. That could be our cover. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. So you head in, and anyone who's getting near to the door to try and listen, can you make a listen roll for me, please?
Jemima is deadly curious, but also aware that all 4 of us being in the kitchen listening is a bad idea. So she stood just outside the kitchen wanting to listen. But
can anyone also who's going up to the door make a stealth roll?
We're going right up to the door then. Oh, stealth.
So Dane passed the listen roll, but failed the stealth roll.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. So you both over here. What's Melvin doing? Sorry, Jack.
I think he's probably still in the bar area, sort of between where they were sat and the sort of kitchen door.
Okay.
Sort of hovering.
Willie will be with you if you're the furthest person back, and sort of trying to peer through into the kitchen and see what's going on, while also maintaining such a distance that he could be sat back down again before Duncan comes out.
Same idea.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am as well.
Great. So Dane and Esther over here, obviously only one half of the conversation. So while you're there, you hear, No, everything's going as it should be. No, I know it. You know what? I know. Yeah, you know I don't mean as it should be, but I mean as well as it can be. Look, I don't. And then one of you leans too hard on an edge and tips a pan, so it doesn't fall onto the floor, but it rattles on the side.
Yeah. Okay, so Esther has like immediate reaction to that. Her immediate reaction is just to go, "Oh, Mr. Harrow, be more careful with that pot. Bring it over here so I can put some hot water in it."
Duncan comes out of the out of the residence. The door opens.
Yeah, backing away from the door towards the sink.
He says, "Oh, sorry, I got a phone call. Oh, the eggs!" And he runs over to a pan and starts trying to unstick egg from the pan.
Why don't you sit down? Sit down, Mr. Kilbride. Sounds like you've had a bit of a tiring morning. I can help you with that. Here, Mr. Harrow, come over here and help me with this. And
well,
kind of fairly forcefully sort of go in and like try and shuffle him out of the way and go, "You go and sit down with Mr. Harrow and have a drink. I'll take care of them. Don't worry." I've got fast talk if that would help.
Yeah, give me a roll.
Oh, interesting.
He looks incredibly uncomfortable at the idea of somebody else doing something here.
But I imagine he is kind of tired.
I pass. My fast talk
Okay.
is 65
nice.
and I got 31.
Nice.
You can tick that then,
Okay.
because that's less than half. He says, "Well, I suppose if you really don't mind, but it doesn't feel right really leaving
Don't
somebody
worry,
else."
it's only eggs. It's only eggs. You can come back in and make sure everything else is going all right.
Quite,
in a minute.
yes.
You just quickly have a drink.
He heads through with Dane into the bar.
So would Melvin and Jemima are they sat at the bar or are they kind of stood around?
I imagine it as Willie and Melvin and me were all kind of hovering, ready to go back to seat. I think we all rapidly sat down to make it look like we'd been sat the whole time as soon as we heard Duncan come out.
So I guess Dane will kind of ease Duncan in and just start to talk to him and say, "Duncan, we have a few things we were hoping to ask you about. In particular about our onward journey. I don't know if you've heard anything. Perhaps that was the phone call."
No, I'm afraid it wasn't. Let me go. We'll sort food, and I'll go and have a word with Jimmy. And I can always ring the station if needs be.
Thank you for your help. And I don't mean to pry, but I hope everything is okay after last night.
Oh yes, I'm sure. Well, not for the Menzies. Obviously, it's a difficult time for them. But
well, it sounded like it was a difficult time for you as well. Jacob Menzies seems like a challenging man.
Well, I wouldn't like to say. But last night was, for anybody, it would be hard work. There was a lot to be prepared for the week.
We noticed as well there was another grave outside this morning. Was that planned?
I couldn't say that I've seen it.
Does he look, because that's kind of an odd thing to suddenly have said, does he look like that's completely unfamiliar to him? Does he look like he's shocked to hear that? Like, oh my God, someone's died? Or does he look like, oh, it's normal that graves appear strangely all the time?
He looks confused.
Mm-hmm.
You think. Yeah, he doesn't look like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks a little. He does look. He looks surprised.
He's got a lot on his plate, so
you couldn't say for definite whether he looks surprised about what you've said or that you've said it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Okay.
I feel like Dane is kind of feeling quite tempted to put the pressure on here a little bit, but
I think if you have that look on your face, Jemima will just look at you and nod, but not say anything.
So Dane will kind of say, well, I'm surprised to hear you say that. And just after you left this morning, we also found something was left at our door. And again, I know you don't think anything of this, but there just seem to have been so many signs that we're not wanted here. So anything you can do to expedite our departure will be really appreciated. And anything you know that could help us feel a bit safer, we'd really appreciate it if you would tell us and be open with us. And to be honest, yeah, we can tell you're not comfortable as well.
I'll give Duncan an earnest, genuine look of please help to try and assist Dane's pleading.
He looks a little taken aback at this sort of complete honesty from you, I guess, about what you've noticed about his demeanor. And after a few seconds, he says, it's just, it's been a difficult few days. It's an unfortunate time for you to be here. I'm not doing my best hosting at the moment, I'm afraid.
Just to be clear, we all think you've done a fantastic job, but at the same time, it feels like our presence here is putting pressure on you.
No, that's not the case at all.
That's kind of you to say, but again, we're just going by what we've seen. And like I say, anything we can do to get out of your hair.
I think Esther comes out of the kitchen with the kind of food on plates at this point. She's got the eggs, which are fried up, some toast and whatnot. She's managed to scrounge up and puts down on the table, and goes, "Yes, yeah, I've seen many odd things in my times and on my travels, but I've seen many odd things here. I can imagine you've been having a rough past few days, Mr. Kilbride. But as Mr. Harrow says, we'd be rather keen to leave rather than witness anything else."
Yes, of course. Like I've said, I'll just get this food in me. Thank you again, Miss Smith. Unnecessary as it was, it's appreciated. And then I'll go and have a word with Jimmy and see what's going on with getting you back to town.
Well, perhaps one of us should come with you.
You're welcome.
Be nice. Thank you.
So he starts tucking into food. Presumably everybody else is eating. Willie certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Esther, who was hangry, is now eating and becoming slightly less hangry.
Does Dane look kind of dissatisfied and annoyed at the answer? Out of curiosity.
I feel like Dane was about to get quite frustrated, but Esther coming in with the eggs is sort of I resolved some of the tension.
It was nearly fist slamming time. Damn it, just tell the truth.
Okay, so everybody finishes their breakfast. And Duncan collects all the plates and everything up and takes them through to the kitchen, and says, "I'm going to go wrap up a little warmer than I was before, so I'll meet you back here in a moment."
Okay.
You going to go with him, Esther?
Unless anyone else wants to go, Mr. Harrow, Mr. Caffey.
I'll certainly join you, Esther.
Okay, that would be good. Thank you.
I think I've still got my coat on. Can't
Yeah,
remember.
I've still got mine on. Well, I've got mine on the chair, so I'll just put it on.
With a cold wind, the door to the pub opens.
Oh, while while Duncan was passing, when he came back out, Jemima remembered she wanted to ask him something quickly too. She was just like, Duncan,
Oh,
before you go.
no, sorry. So Duncan's not back yet.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was Duncan.
No.
The door. My bad.
So that's fine. So the door opens, and there stands the priest. John, I don't know if you want to put the priest on screen. He is not dressed for the weather. He is in basically his standard attire, as so, looking very tired, quite bedraggled, and he looks around the room at all of you, and then Duncan comes out of the kitchen. They seem to look at each other for a moment, and then Duncan gives a sort of, and the priest walks through the pub and goes through into the kitchen with Duncan.
Esther goes, hang on. I thought we were going to go and see Jimmy about our departure.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. Just a moment. This is quite pressing. My apologies.
Does the priest look about at us at all? Does he like acknowledge that we're there, or does he not really and kind of try and avoid our gaze, or what? Just walk straight through.
So when he entered, he looked around at each of you. So you may have caught some eye contact with him, but once he's seen Duncan, he's sort of just heading through the back.
Mm-hmm.
Esther like slams her hand on the door frame and goes, "As pressing as how unwelcome we are here."
Is that
really,
after Is that after they've already gone through, or still?
There's a good chance they heard me. I was being quite loud and frustrated.
As you do that, the priest turns around just as he gets to the kitchen, and says, "No children of God are unwelcome anywhere, my dear," and then heads into the kitchen.
I think, Esther just kind of honestly says, very close to a yell, "That's not what you said last time, priest. I heard you," and just like storms out. And goes, "Well, if anyone wants to listen in on them, feel free. Honestly, that man gives me the willies." I'm just gonna like go and sit in the corner, very angrily fuming.
Jemima is pacing around the room, but doesn't make a move to go through to the back.
Yeah, I don't think Melvin's going to go. Listen, I think he's going to stay in the
bar
area.
Dane's been a bit spooked by the last listen attempt, and we'll just head over and sit by Esther.
Okay, yeah, Willie's just following with everybody. So if everybody's sitting together, he'll just keep close with you, the rest of you.
Esther, I think, what counts as low sanity in Call of Cthulhu?
Depends on your starting.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have a reasonably low sanity now. I think. Are you in the 30s?
Yeah, I'm 35.
It's not. That's not drastically low, but it's kind of
prone to outbursts and upsets. Okay, so she just turns to Mr. Harrow and goes, "We shouldn't let him leave. We need answers from that man."
I am with you on that one.
Right. Well, when he comes back, we're all going to sit down and we're going to have a chat.
Is the are we sat kind of nearish the door, or?
You can be. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dana's really keen to sort of, if they try and rush back out, to try and catch them for that conversation. So maybe just positions himself on the nearest seat to the door.
Okay.
Jemima is pacing more nervously.
You can hear the sounds of a conversation going on. Obviously, if you're not listening in, you don't overhear any specifics, but you can hear. It doesn't sound heated, but it sounds serious. It's certainly not a light-hearted conversation that's going on, but it doesn't sound like they're tearing strips out of each other either.
I will get the picture from my notebook of the cross that was drawn on our things and hand it to probably Dane and just be like, to start him off, I suppose. We could ask about this.
Why don't you ask about the grave that was dug in his churchyard?
Yes, well, maybe we should start with something simpler, I guess.
Well, I think I prefer to go for the throat.
I'll start pacing some more. What's Melvin doing, by the way? I'm Willie.
I think just sort of, hanging out in the bar. He's probably not entirely comfortable with the idea of what it sounds like forcibly sitting a priest down and interrogating him, but he's not necessarily not wanting to do it because he's just as, wants to figure out wants to know what's going on and also get out of here. So he's not going to get in the way of anyone trying to do that.
Yeah, fair enough. Same as Jemima then. Cool.
You sat in relative silence, I presume. You're not particularly conversing apart from Esther's occasional complaints about
Priests.
the priest.
Is Willie still there as well? Like, is he like
Willie's still
waiting?
there? Yeah, he's just sort of waiting as you all are.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Does he seem comfortable with? Yeah, I guess with the fact it's escalating a little bit.
I think he's quite happy that, I don't think he'd want to lay hands on the priest, but I think somebody standing in the way of the doorway is probably not particularly massively against. He's a traveling person, he could head off somewhere else. And as far as he's concerned, there's not, he could move on to the next village whenever reasonably. He was staying here because he wanted to, basically. So yeah, nothing particular keeping him here. You are shocked by the sound of the church bell ringing again with a bong, bong.
I've rushed outside to look at the church. Yeah.
Can you all make sanity rolls, please? As everything
The second I heard
snaps back into reality. If Jemima is outside, she would note people beginning to leave their houses and head towards the church, dressed in black. And the priest comes tearing out of the kitchen.
Okay, Esther Esther's just rolled a 94, so she's lost a lot of sanity, and she just turns around and screams at the priest, "What the?" I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Am I allowed to swear?
Hell's okay.
What the hell is wrong with your church?
He shoots you a small glance, but he's just tearing out of the door.
Dane.
So I failed my sanity check there. I'm not sure if I think it's just spooked Dane to the extent that he might have intervened, but now he's kind of
Esther
distracted.
is sprinting after the priest.
Can everybody lose one sanity, please, who has failed the check? And Esther runs outside after the priest. The priest is tearing towards the church, and people are sort of flocking towards the church, all dressed in black. Esther sees now, and as you are,
I'm probably not running very well because of my ankle, so I'm struggling.
Maybe I overtake you then, since I was following you, I guess.
And as you look up towards the church, stood in the doorway is Jacob Menzies. And I think we'll leave it there for this week.
God. I'm looking forward to Esther potentially just piling into Jacob Menzies and starting a fight with him at this rate, which seems like what's going to happen at the beginning of next session.
Esther has her gun with her, right?
Yeah, I've got my gun.
Yeah, Jesus.
Causes any trouble, I'll just shoot him with a very tiny gun.
Oh no!
I wish I'd chosen a bigger gun now. Oh god!
Thanks, everybody.
Oh god!
Sorry, there were a couple of technical issues there. I don't know what was going on with my internet. If anybody would like to leave any questions or comments in the chat, then John can put those on screen for us. Don't forget, we have all the social medias except TikTok so far. Maybe we could set up a really creepy TikTok. But there's Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. There's a Discord that you can join. There's a Patreon. All of these are uploaded to YouTube after the fact, and are also available on Twitch after they've finished. So please join us on those things and have conversations with us about things. We're all really nice, unless you're in Durrisdeer in Scotland in 1924.
I have an idea for the TikTok channel. We have a compilation of our slow descent into madness with creepy clown music in the minor key, slowed down gradually and getting slower and slower and slower as we go gradually more insane.
That's a good idea. I'm down with it.
Guys in charge of TikTok, officially.
How's life without Matt? I feel like this is a difficult question to answer, because if I say it's terrible, then it sounds like John's rubbish. And if I say it's great, then it sounds like Matt's rubbish. So it's precisely average. Is what I would say as an answer to that question.
Either Matt helps your internet connection, or John is some sort
John breaks it.
Or John breaks it, yeah.
John is some sort of internet vampire.
I would just like to say I apparently do have that effect on people sometimes. So who knows?
Maybe. Good. So who did the players think of the... Oh, this is a good one. So who did the players think are the villains of the story at the moment, and who's most at risk? That's from Steve. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, I was me and Skye were having a big theory at the end of last session. So I'm I've got my loads of ideas of what I think the big plot is, but I don't want to say all that.
I think Esther thinks is the priest. But
it says players though, not characters. I think Steve asked players.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, but I think that I'm really actually quite sus about Duncan, especially after that phone call. It's like, oh, everything's going as it should be. I'm like, is it though?
Yeah.
But is it, if it is going as it should be, then that's pretty rubbish for us. Like, are we being set up for something? I kind of get that feeling.
Yeah.
So-
I feel like everyone is out to get our characters that we've encountered, even if
Except
just
for the
passively
small,
sort of.
adorable children.
Yeah, at best, the village is passively out to get us. That's pretty much how it feels now. Everyone except Willie.
I think it's Rachel, the shopkeeper. She's the only one that's not actively worked against us. I think that's.
I think the interesting bit is they obviously want rid of us, but seem to be conspiring to keep us here to an extent as well. Although some of that has been like the weather and stuff as well. So
yeah. How much is? I wonder if because the other part of the question was who's most at risk. I wonder if that's us, as in which of the characters, or like, are we saying in the village are other people at risk there?
I think
I mean,
Esther's
add up
probably
that to it.
because of the lowest sanity. I think. At
Oh
the minute,
yeah, exactly.
so-
Yeah, I'm very much going around the twist. Yeah.
I'm worried. I'm personally, as a player, worried something terrible is going to happen to Willie. I must admit.
Yeah. I'm worried Esther's going to get into a fight with somebody.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the next session.
Anyone at the other end, at the sort of barrel of a gun.
Dane didn't pick up his knife today. Could have knifed that priest in the door, Dane.
No, hunting knife
Why
is
did
wasted
you
in the
do
bedroom.
that?
Oh god. I really wonder how Jonny would have dealt with something like that. Sanity loss. I've decided I've shot the priest. Oof.
It's all right. Melvin's got a shotgun
shot
in his
the
office in
priest.
Glasgow, I think.
Yeah.
He's just
Post it
got-
down. Post it to the shop. First class.
Oh dear. It's only got one bullet in it, and he's been dreaming about who it's for years.
Is there anything else in the questions and comments, John? Have the players done anything to really throw a spanner in the works? That's from John himself.
This session, or in general? This session felt like we were trying to spanner everything for you a bit, John.
I don't think anybody has done anything to throw a spanner in the works. As a sort of, I think because of my GMing style, which I don't massively plan the micro stuff. So a lot of stuff that's happened comes off the back of things that other people are doing anyway. So there's the sort of big story beats that are maybe planned, and then the overall thing has a plan to it. But I'm also I try and plan for more than one ending as well, so that I don't have to be averse to people doing anything, even if it's a bit out there in terms of what you would expect a player to do, especially with the potential of somebody going insane and just doing something wild that you're not really prepared for. So no, I don't think so. I'll try and think about that, but I don't think that anybody has done anything that I've gone, oh god, everything's ruined. I think it's more me doing that to the players.
Very much so.
I set the pub on fire
with us inside it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Maybe that's going to be Esther's insanity thing. In the middle of the night, she'll wake from the bad dream, look out the window, see Melvin impaled on the war memorial, and then burn the pub down with everyone else inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, if she loses a lot of sanity in one go, I'm not even sure. Like, she's it's been chipping away so far, but a big loss.
Isn't there? I don't know whether there's an actual thing in the book or something, isn't there? In the rules,
yeah.
if you lose more than X amount.
Yeah, it's a fifth in a day, I think.
Okay, so you got to math it. A fifth of your remaining sanity in a day.
Sanity loss of 1/5 or more in a day is indefinite insanity ensues.
Okay, I love the indefinite insanity ensues. That's a great description. Just
a sanity loss of 5 points or more at one time. You have to make an intelligence roll, and if you're successful, temporary insanity ensues, because obviously that means you're intelligent enough to comprehend the awfulness of what you've witnessed.
Oh no.
It's fun the way that the roles and stuff work in Call of Cthulhu, because like that as one example, and the other thing is the skill improvement checks. When you've got the ticks, you're basically trying to fail a roll to see if you improve that skill.
Yeah.
Which means that the better and better you get at it, the harder it'll be to improve, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Although also the easier it is to get the chance to improve, so I'm not sure if that cancels itself out, because obviously you're more likely to roll 5% of a higher skill.
Yeah, that's true. Any more, John?
I was actually going to ask you, John, out of
go on.
curiosity, as a question for me, as a GM, has it been easier or harder to has it made it harder for you to control the game now that we're all getting quite aggressive about what's going on in the characters and like decisive about things, like Dane almost trying to attack the priest? Or is it is this kind of more fun and easier for you now? We kind of have more agency.
Not so far. It hasn't. It potentially, it could get to the point where I'm having to move my way around things a little bit, maybe. If John asks that question again next week, then it might be a different answer. But yeah, I think you can get to the point where the characters are so frustrated and mildly insane that they act in ways that, when you're sort of planning things out, you wouldn't expect a character to act, because they're not following the kind of rules of self-preservation to quite the level that you expect them to. So yeah, we'll see, but it's going to be fun anyway.
That's what makes Cthulhu fun. Yeah, getting your character to the point where they're no longer doing what you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just getting started.
Any more, John? That's all from chat, and that's all from us. So remember that Vampire is tomorrow night and Simba Room is on Wednesday night. And no, it's not this week. It's not, because Matt's having a full week off. But next week, when I say that, it'll be right, because we'll be back next Monday, and then it'll be Vampire on Tuesday and Simba Room on Wednesday. So please join us for all of those next week, and have a spooky time until then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.